This week I learned Twitter polls, they're not exactly scientific data and they should be disregarded. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update, the last for the month of June. Can you believe we're already at the halfway point of 2024? I mean, 2025 was just something that I imagined when I was a kid. It's way just super future. And I can't believe it's just 6 months away. Wild, isn't it? But hey, lots of fun things have happened this week. We're going to talk about those. We'll begin like usual by discussing what am I reading. I did finish Rule, which is book number 1 of the Silo series by Hugh Howey. Now, I have had a little bit of a mixed to positive on this. I think I said last week I wasn't really worried about it. Now I'm a little concerned. And I'm going to explain why. I didn't dislike this. I'm going to put that up front. I did not dislike it. I think I like the TV series better. And that's going to happen sometimes when you watch the movie or the TV series before you read the book. That's going to happen. That's why I always try to read the book first. With this, I felt like the pacing was kind of unusual. Felt like it was super, super quick. Whereas obviously on TV, you got all these hours, you can flesh things out and things like that. With this, it's very obvious to me that this was several stories collected together, which I believe is why it's called an omnibus. I believe it has several stories that were all written, I don't want to say completely independent of one another, but, not necessarily in a novel format. And they've been kind of thrust together here because I feel like the first half very much does focus on Juliet, the way all the things that I was really interested in. Once we get to the surface level area stuff, that's when it gets a little weird. I still really like Juliet's story, but we get so much more of Lucas and other people in the down below that I wasn't as invested in. And I felt like it just suffered a little bit from the narrative structure. It was like it would never just let me settle on one character long enough for me to get really wrapped up in it. It just kept switching between the characters so much. Okay, I'm really interested in what Juliet's doing right now. This stuff is really messed up. What she's seeing. Hey, let's cut back to this other character who's doing something that was exciting. Now, that's going to happen sometimes. A book this long, almost 600 pages. It's one of those where I'm excited for season 2 of the show. I can't necessarily say I'm excited for book number 2 in the series, which especially since I've heard it isn't really a continuation, but a flashback. So I don't know. With the way that it ends, I could see why that would be the format that we do go to. But as of right now, it's I like the series enough to continue, but kind of like what I said about Demon Awakens by Ari Salvatore earlier this month was I like the series enough to continue. It's just nothing that I'm anxious to do. It's something where I got to be I got to get that on my schedule immediately. So I am glad that I am putting more science fiction into my monthly TBRs here. But this one was, again, mixed to positive. I do think I would say that I like the book. I would recommend it, but it definitely had a lot of issues that kind of dragged it a bit down for me. It killed my motivation for going forward with it really, really quick. So that's really all I read this week, guys. It is a really big book. I've only finished through One Piece volume 27. So I got 5 more to go in a day. If you're going by, you have to have this done because I wanted to finish all of Skypiea in the month of June so I can start Water 7 in July. I still can do that. I just might not actually finish before then, especially when I was making sure that I finished my written word novels first and did get those all in time. So that brings me, guys, to what am I going to read? Now, obviously, I would like to say I'm going to finish One Piece through volume 32 in the next 36 hours. I'm just doubting that's actually going to happen. And then I'll begin Water 7. That is the first thing. That's a manga I've got going for the whole month of July, which is about equal length, I think, as Skypiea, about 12 to 13 volumes. So let's see if I can roll on it a little earlier this month, maybe. And that will be starting Queen of Bedlam. The Queen of Bedlam. I was corrected last week. That is by Robert McCammon. Now, I did kind of tell you guys I didn't want to ruin it for you, but it started with Robert Edwin McCammon. Yes, I am very excited to continue with Matthew Corbett. I loved Speaks the Nightbird, and I've only heard that this one is even better. And if that's the case, very cool. It almost sounds like Matthew kind of trailing a Jack the Ripper type of character, and that's a lot of fun. Dealing with serial killers in the 1700s, before we had forensic evidence. It's really cool because you feel like a murderer could be could succeed with anonymity a lot better during that time period. So it'll be interesting to see how Matthew does track the trail of this killer, because if there's one thing that Matthew desires above everything, it is justice, and we're going to see how he does pull through on that one. But I'm imagining we're going to get a little bit more of coming of age with Matthew in this, because he was still very young. I don't know how much time has taken place between Speaks Nightbird and the Queen of Bedlam, but I'm excited to continue on that journey with the character now, knowing that the series ℕ𝕦𝕤𝕤𝕤 has completed. He has turned in the final book in the series. It's not out yet. It doesn't have a date or anything like that, but that the story is complete is very exciting when you're starting a series, knowing that the series is going to be done before you get there. And that's very exciting because I have enjoyed my time in that world thus far. So that's really all I got going, guys, for the books for the next week. Robert McCammon books are a little beefier, so it might take a little longer than usual. So I don't imagine that I would get through that one and start anything else except for One Piece during that time period. How about this week on the channel? I did reveal my reading plans for July, and that one was fun because it was all influenced by my patrons. It's all things that certain patrons have recommended to me a ton. These patrons have kind of earned my trust on that they've had success in the past and recommending things to me that I've really, really enjoyed. And again, it's one of those things where I love all my patrons. You guys are amazing. You really, really are. And I value everything that you say. I value your input. And so I couldn't obviously, read something that everybody has recommended to me. But I would say I would like to do that, 2 or 3 times a year. Make sure my reading plans for a month are all things that have been recommended by patrons. Because, again, you guys have been with me for a long time. And I admire the loyalty. And I'm just so thankful for you guys have been along with me. Some of you for as long as I've been running this channel. That's just really, really awesome to me. But you want to see my reading plans for the month of July, you can check that out. That's a lot of fun whenever you kind of look forward to what you're going to read. And I'm going to be straight with you. June was kind of a mixed bag in my results. I'm hoping that July can be a little better. And on paper, I really like the picks that I have made that you guys recommended, because it's very exciting times with this new format. One fantasy, one horror, one sci-fi, one manga, and one kind of miscellaneous, which this month will be historical fiction and the Queen of Bedlam. ℙ𝕦𝕤𝕤𝕤𝕤, that was our first episode of the ℙ𝕦𝕤𝕤𝕤. We talked about the vanished birds. The ℙ𝕦𝕤𝕤𝕤 is going to be myself, Brian from BellTube, Dr. Philip Chase, and of course John over at Talking Story. An idea that Brian came up with was just we kind of read something that's a little maybe out of our comfort zones. It's a little smaller, not part of a series or something like that. And we talked about The Vanished Birds, a book that I at this point people know I did not like. It will probably make my 10 least favorite of the year at the end of the year. With this is I think that's part of the conversation. And obviously with that one, I did have some people being like, Mike, you're not talking as much. Well, yeah, I would let the people who actually finished the book talk about it more. I talked about what didn't work for me, but I think we did like the first 10, 15 minutes was spoiler free, and then we got into spoilers. But anytime I can talk to those 3 gentlemen, it's a fun time. And I thank you for everybody who participated in the chat. You guys rule. But with things like that, I always tell people, guys, don't take my word for it. Read the book and decide for yourself. That's what I always say. So with Vanished Birds, it was just a miss for me, but seeing that, the other gentlemen found some redeeming qualities out of it that were much more to their liking than mine, that's cool. That's what I think the conversation is about. So it's kind of like just a nice little book club. We're going to be doing one every quarter, and we did pick our new book that's going to be doing in September. We did pick our new book, so check out that chat if you guys want to know. If you guys just want to skip to the end, we do reveal the next book in our series. That one is actually my pick. This one was John's pick, and I hosted. This one is my pick, and I think Philip's going to host for it. So very exciting. I think this format is going to be very, very fun. Again, just doing this once every quarter, I think, should be a treat. And if you guys want to join along with us, it'll be fun. But you got until September to check out that book that we'll be doing and having that discussion then. Over on Mike's Media Reviews, my wife and I did get out our House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 2 discussion, and I famously got the title of that because when we were recording that, it's still on HBO. It still said Season 2, Episode 2 was the title, so we didn't know the title of it. And I had read somewhere that was called Brothers in Arms. And if you watch the episode, you understand, oh yeah, that seems like it would be a pretty good title. Find out later it was Rhaenyra the Cruel. So the thumbnail's wrong, but the title has been corrected. But I figured that would be the biggest comment in there. But lots of people were like, there was lots of confusion about that episode title. I think they're doing that to avoid spoilers. I don't know. So in the TV movie talk section, if you're wondering why I'm not talking about House of Dragons, it's because we're talking about it over on Mike's Media Reviews. Had a lot of people asking if I'm doing these episodes anymore. I am just over on Mike's Media Reviews because it wasn't getting the audience over here that I felt like it needed to make it a mainstay each week. So we're doing that over on Mike's Media Reviews, where things like the algorithm and view count and things like that don't matter at all. You can just kind of go over there and do whatever you want. So hope you guys will check out Mike's Media Reviews if you haven't. We talk about all kinds of things. We're going to be doing our weekly wrap-up, as I call it, because I didn't want to call it weekly update on 2 channels. We're doing our weekly wrap-up over there here this weekend, which is, just all things current, movies, music, media, video games, things like that. If you guys want to check that out, we'd love to talk to you over there. How about some next week plans? Got a couple things in the plans here. Obviously going to wrap up the month of June and name my book of the month, which is going to be very close. And usually where it's like I've got 3 or 4 books and I'm like, oh, these were really great. And I got some books that were pretty mid, if I'm being honest. So right now, I think I know which one I'm going to pick, but I'm not certain. I'm not even certain if watching these weekly updates, you guys will be able to figure out what my book of the month is going to be. So here's the thing. Before I press record on that, I might not have a choice of which one I'm going to pick. Who knows? We will see as it goes through. But, every once in a while, you get that feeling. I think it was Petrick that recently did a video where he said, these are my reading plans, and I need a 5-star read badly. But like I'm kind of there. I like that I'm keeping it fresh by changing around in genres. That's definitely keeping me from feeling like I'm going to have a slump. But I do feel like I need a hit right now. I haven't had a banger in a while. Thinking Robert McCammon's going to be it, but I thought Silo was going to be it too. So we'll find out. But yeah, wrapping up June. It should be fun because I'm going to be straight up with you guys. Ever since the channel hack, the actual audience and channel people have asked, I feel like I've got enough data now to let you guys know that, yeah, it did greatly affect the channel, like big time. And we'll talk about it there, but I'll keep it brief. I think I'm going to do my halfway point that I usually do each year. It's kind of like your, best of the first half of the year thing, where you look at the best things that you've read, some things that maybe let you down a little bit, what your most popular topics have been. That's always kind of a fun mid-year check-in, I think. And, Viking always is going to spoil my book of the year and my midway book of the year, because he does put that video out every year before I am able to get this out. But hey, if you want to know other things, what I've liked and what I haven't liked so far, that should be a fun video to make and kind of look ahead to the rest of the year. Over Mike's Media Reviews, we're going to be talking about Dark Matter, because that did conclude the Blake Crouch adaptation. That is going to be something to talk about, because my wife enjoyed it very, very much. And I think it was a very good adaptation, obviously, since Blake Crouch was writing it. Some things I do like about the book better, some things I like about the show better. So we're going to talk about those things. And we never got to talk about Shogun, and my wife really wants to talk about Shogun because she hasn't read it, but she did really enjoy the FX adaptation. And so I want to give her the platform over there to talk about these things. And I love talking about Shogun because that was an amazing show. That is an amazing book. And it's just going to be a fun conversation, I think. So look forward to that over there. And I think we'll also be doing, when does it come out? I think Wednesday, the new Beverly Hills Cop movie comes out. And yeah, I actually want to watch it. I think we'll review that as well. I think that comes out July 3rd. So stay tuned over there at Mike's Media Reviews. Hit subscribe if you haven't, please. We'd love to have you over there. And that leads me into the TV and movie talk section. I took a poll for what I'm calling like my next solo watch. Now, what this is a solo watch is like a show you watch, when your spouse and your kids aren't home, or you just got some alone time, you want to watch something. So I took this poll a couple of times now. The first time, you guys ended up getting me to watch Severance, which was excellent. And the second time, I think you guys got me to watch The Leftovers, which I did love. It took me a while because that show will depress the hell out of you if you're not careful. So I decided to put this poll up again. And the thing is I think I'm actually considering a write-in vote right now. So the poll ran for 3 days, and what I said was, here's the shows, and I want you guys to help me pick out which one I watch next. Now, the choices were Peaky Blinders on Netflix, The Bear from FX, Barry on HBO, and Mythic Quest on Apple TV. Those were all shows I had an interest in. I kind of wanted to flip it around, not just put 4 HBO shows in there, because that's what I would usually do. Peaky Blinders is something people have been just urging me to watch ever since I talked about The War for the Rose Throne. They said there's lots of similarities there, and so that's awesome. The Bear on FX, to me, it just does not look like a show I'd be interested in all, but like some of my closest friends, we had like a text thread, and they just go nuts for this show. So they really, and after I saw the actor in the Iron Claw movie that is a lead on that show, he played Kerry Von Erich, the Texas Tornado. I thought he did really great, and like, you've got to watch The Bear. So okay, so I considered that one. Barry on HBO, again, a premise that just sounds really strange. A guy that's a hitman who decides he wants to be an actor and starts taking acting classes. That sounds like a weird premise, but Bill Hader's pretty funny, and it's got the Fonz in it. So hey, maybe it'll be pretty good. I don't know. HBO rarely misses with me, if I'm being honest. And then Mythic Quest is just, I feel like I've had such success with Apple TV. Nothing I've watched have I been disappointed in yet. And I love the idea of the video game industry and things like that. It almost sounds like Silicon Valley, but from like the video gaming point of view. Apparently, this is basically like a peek behind the curtain of what things were like at Ubisoft. And if you know about the things that happened at Ubisoft So I thought those were 4 good choices. The poll ran. Peaky Blinders won pretty handily. It was a no-brainer that Peaky Blinders was probably going to win because that's a very popular show. I love Cillian Murphy, so I'm sure I will like the show. Lots of people tell me it's super slow and you got to kind of watch it with subtitles on because you can't understand what they're saying. But that's cool. I watch everything with subtitles on, guys. I'm a reader. That started when we had kids and we couldn't hear the TV, and so that's why we started, just watching everything with subtitles. Now it's hard for me to watch without them at this point. But the thing is, I'm thinking about doing a write-in because someone brought this to my attention, and it's something that I got interested in after I saw Picard Season 3 of Star Trek. That was written by Terry Matalas, who just gave me the Star Trek Next Generation Season 8 that I always wanted. That's what Picard Season 3 was. It was amazing. It was just emotional. It was incredible writing. I loved it to death. And I was like, I'm interested in anything else this guy does going forward. Well, a good friend of mine actually wrote in on that thread, and he's like, I think you should skip all these and watch 12 Monkeys. And I'm like, 12 Monkeys? Man, I didn't even really care for that movie, honestly. It's like a Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis movie in the 90s. It sounds awesome. And I was like, that movie just kind of confused the shit out of me, honestly. I don't really remember very much about it. He's like, well, the series, you don't even have to watch the movie. It completely reboots it. And he said, and it's done by the guy, completely showrunner, writing, producing, directing by the guy who did Picard Season 3. And I said, tell me more. You had my attention. You had my curiosity, now you have my attention. So I'm very, very seriously considering that. But I'll also just do the thing where I do Peaky Blinders at kind of the same time. Just kind of, you can have a nice, just like how you can have a nice fantasy book and a nice sci-fi book at the same time, you can have a nice period drama like a Peaky Blinders and a nice sci-fi show like 12 Monkeys at the same time, I think. So I don't really know a ton about it, except the people that did watch it, because it was on Sci-Fi Channel, so not a lot. It didn't have a big audience, obviously. But anything science fiction doesn't really. But everyone who has watched it says this show has some of the best writing that they've ever seen. And it has so many twists and turns that you'll never see coming. And that they all work. And it has one of the most satisfying finales ever in a TV show. And that sounds awesome because I always hate, oh, you got to get to season 2 before it gets good. Or, hey, make it through season 3. It's kind of a slog. But then once you get past that, it gets really good. Or, it's great, but, the last season let me down. I hear that a lot with television shows, but people who actually have watched 12 Monkeys have nothing but awesome things to say about it. I love sci-fi. I love a good time travel story, a good in-time story, trying to change things for the better, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. When you get into time travel, it gets very, very hairy, because what rules are you using? Are you using the Bill and Ted rules, using the Back to the Future rules, using the Michael Crichton rules? When you get into science fiction and time travel, it always depends on what kind of rules you're using, and I've heard this has like its very own unique set of rules for time travel, and that sounds interesting. I know Terry Matalas is a huge Back to the Future fan, so I imagine that it kind of is going to use those. But we'll see. We'll see. You change something in the past, but then you travel back to your time and you see that time has changed because of that new timeline. So it's always a fun thing to mess with when you're doing with time travel. And it sounds like they got a really good writing team involved with this to make sure that they got all that stuff as believable as time travel can be. But guys, that was my week. It was a very, very interesting week. Got some fun things going on around the house. We're going to go swimming here in a little bit. But I hope you guys are staying cool because it is I don't know about where you are. Where I'm at, it's stupid hot and humid right now. So I'm hoping that the pool is nice, a nice little cool dip. But make sure to wear some sunscreen out there. But guys, what are you up to? What are you watching? What are you reading? What do you listen to? What are you playing? I would love to know. Drop in the comments, guys, and let me know. And I will talk to you there.